Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, Mule Fabrication. This is Vince. Today is a little bit different of a video. This is not going to be a build video for anything with this J10 Mule Jeep. This is a video where I want to tell you about the history of the J10 before I started YouTube. Because this story for this goes way back. I bought this truck when I was 17 years old, and I first saw this truck growing up in downtown Stillwater. The owner of this before me owned a marina, and he wasn't allowed to put signs on the road for his marina. So what he did is, in the stake pockets of this, slid in his marina sign, and he would drive it to the road every day, park it on the street so people could see his marina sign to get people to come in, and then he would start it up and drive it right back into his shop. And I grew up looking at this Jeep parked on Main Street in Stillwater my whole life, and I always thought, I'm going to buy that Jeep one day. And one day when I was 17, I saw it pop up on Craigslist. That's back when we used Craigslist instead of Marketplace. So I bought it, and I brought it home, and it was one of those things where you've been looking at something, wanting it for years and years and years, and then you finally had the opportunity to buy it. So that is where this story started at 17 years old. So I have tons of pictures and some videos of it coming through. I'm going to go through and explain them all, of the steps and everything, but all these old pictures weren't taken in a good format, so please excuse if they're not properly sitting right in the scene and the footage or the best quality, but it's what we had to work with. It's history, guys. It's not meant to be perfect. So let's go start with the story from when I first bought it and the day I brought it home. This is the first day that I brought it home at 17 years old, and I never could have imagined what this truck would turn into. I started with just some basic maintenance to get it back on the road and driving again, and then I started searching for a way I could haul my black Cherokee rock crawler. I couldn't afford a trailer, so I settled for a toter dolly that I found on Craigslist and towed it like that to jeeping events for the first year, but it wasn't very fun to tow with. During that year, I saved up some money and bought a $500 used trailer, and off I went towing my Jeep to wheeling events with the trailer, but I had to add helper springs to the rear of the J10 so it didn't squat too bad. But during that first year of towing the trailer, I learned a lot because I was way overloading that J10 Jeep for what it was capable of towing. And I ended up twisting the rear drive shaft off, having it come around, hit the ground, and when it hit the ground, it broke all the wheel studs off of the axle and left me sliding on the side of the road. I ended up finding a J20 Jeep that had a tree fall on the cab. I took the J20 axles and the 401 that was in it and swapped it into my J10. And I towed like that for years after that with that setup. And it was a huge improvement over what I had. After towing with the Jeep like that for years, I was finally able to afford a full-size diesel pickup, and I retired the J10 from being my tow rig to a Sunday driver and going to car shows. I even won Best in Show at a Jeep show in 2017. But the years of towing with the J10 had done a lot of damage, worn a lot of parts out. I was having trouble finding parts for it, and I decided to pull the 401 out of it. And I pushed the Jeep back out into the yard while I rebuilt the 401. But that never happened, and the Jeep sat in the backyard for a couple years. But one day I got tired of looking at it sitting in the backyard all sad, just rotting away back there, and decided to pull it back into the garage and start a new chapter for the J10, the new build, the Mule build, a thoroughbred drivetrain mixed with a jackass of a truck, and that's where this build started. And this next video was my first attempt to try to record or document the build before YouTube.
All right, I'm gonna start my video blogs for the J10. A few weeks ago, I pulled her into the garage, and I have been stripping her down to her bare bones. Anything that doesn't need to be there has been coming off. Got the fuel tank pulled out of it, the axles pulled out of it, got the whole interior pulled out of it. Slowly but surely, this is the first video I've made of it. Been working on trying to get everything in the engine bay, everything underneath, cleared out, and ready for that 6-liter that's going to have turbo on it. I know this is a stupid video, but if I don't record it now, I'm going to regret it later. I got a set of Super Duty axles sitting right here for it. I got a 4L80E transmission sitting there for it. Ordered an Atlas transfer case. Waiting for that thing to come in the mail now. You get this whole thing running, driving, and start running the body work.
Once I got most of the Jeep stripped down, I started the dreaded process of cutting all the brackets off the Super Duty axles. I finally got the motor and tranny mounted together and sitting in its new home in the J10.
I got the 6-liter and the 4L80E kind of in place. Oh, hiccups. It fought me every way. I literally had to put this truck on the ground, and then getting it in, I had to tip the tranny so bad it puked fluid all over the place. Because I wanted to hit here going in, and I got a shitty jack, so I can only go so high with that amount of weight. I got the axles all prepped. I got wheel bearings coming on Friday, so in a couple days. I ordered a whole 3-link kit for the front from Rough Stuff. And so hopefully I can get this motor. The tranny is just supported by blocks, but get this motor and tranny where I need sitting on them BJ's off-road motor mounts, so I can start building the suspension around where the motor and tranny are going to sit. At least that's the plan. So get the motor, tranny where I'm sitting, get the axle under there where I want it, and then build my links off of that.
I proceeded to get everything mocked up for the front end for the suspension and steering, and got the rear axle in place to get a sense of what it would look like. The next part I started on was getting all the stainless exhaust and pie cuts mocked up for the new turbo that was going into that engine bay. And I got the majority of it done until I found out I was going to be a father. And that changed my whole life and changed the build. I spent the next year adding on to my house to make room for my new family, and the J10 sat on jack stands in the garage. After my daughter was born, the J10 continued to sit on jack stands for another year while I adjusted to my new life. And then I finally said, when she was about a year old, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And that is how my story began. And now I'm documenting the whole build from here until it's doing burnouts. I hope you guys enjoyed.
What are we doing, Vince? Every day of the week?
We're going to ramp it up.
Ramp it up.
And that is how we ended up here today.
making this video right now. So please, if you enjoyed this, please leave a comment. Let me know, and I can do more videos like this. Please like and subscribe. Been working really hard. I think we're at like 350 subscribers. My goal is 1,000, and I would love to get there this year. Thanks, guys.